Hey, welcome, good people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be in. Welcome to GAB Sports Mission for Moolah, where it is our mission and our objective to get straight to the Moolah. Yes. And how are we doing that? We're doing that with no fluff, no chaser, no gimmicks, no cap. Yeah.
Tiana H. Sayers taking dollars, as well as Scott Young. Thanks for helping me get through that issue. All right, so yeah, we want to go ahead and jump into the drafts that we're going to conclude with today. But I just wanted to say that appreciate all of your support during this process, and we are going to reload, regroup, reorganize ahead of the post draft. Yeah, we're going to change a few things here, upgrade a few things here, get a few more technical aspects down, and we're going to come back nice and strong with a lot more offerings. We got some product offerings we're going to have, and also we are going to be doing a lot more collaborations as well. But as it is right now, we're going to just do this one solo and in our pre-draft period right now with a bang. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch on is that I think that we can get a little bit comfortable in what we think is going to happen. And keep in mind that we're 6 months away from the start of the season. A lot of things are going to change during this 6 months. And so one of the things that I really focus on at this juncture, and it's been over the past few weeks, but this is toward the tail end of my process and of my drafting. One of the things that I've been really focusing on is reanalyzing a lot of the positions, a lot of the takes that I may have been sitting on, and I'm thinking that are just solid gold, right? And so I think this is the point where we need to kind of take a step back and realize that we're not going to be right most of the time. And so, and I discussed this particular aspect in our strategy session. So if you want to go ahead and check out our strategy sessions as far as our roadmap to week 17 videos. I did 3 videos, and I believe in 2 and 3, one of those videos, but go ahead and check on if you would. But one of the videos, we discussed what is called the Herzig humility. And basically what that is that Justin Herzig, one of the best players in the world, he stated one time, it really caught my attention, that you really have to understand that our player takes are going to be wrong a lot more of the time than they're right. And so in evaluating our player takes, sometimes you have to take a position where you're not really right, even though you can feel strong about a certain position, you're not really right. You need to take an opposite position against your own take, against your own belief. And that's kind of how people get more balanced exposures and things like that, is that they're taking stances against their initial stance, which might be like, hey, I'm just going to totally disregard this player, this team, these guys in this bucket at this position, whatever it may be. And you may just go ahead and take this strong stance, right? This strong position that you get rooted in. And over time, that's shown to be not a good stance to take, right? You should not be so rooted in stances that you can't see the other side and the other possibility, right? And so this is a time where we may need to reanalyze a lot of our positions, a lot of our stances, and to see if we need to stand on them. And it may not manifest itself here in this pre-draft period, right? Because the pre-draft period is pretty much over. But this is also something we can utilize moving forward into the post-draft season, where we're going to have a lot more information, and we can take time to reanalyze some of our stances, see if we need to come up with them, and maybe frankly change them. And there are a few stances who I've just totally changed at this point, and I'll get into it basically when we jump into a draft. And because I don't want to kind of spoil that, I want to kind of get the cart before the horse and give away some of maybe my strategy here. But we're going to go ahead and jump into a draft so I can kind of maybe illustrate what we are kind of talking about as far as positions, and if this position whether it comes about or not, I'll go ahead and discuss the position, once I start drafting, and because I do want to build this particular angle into one of these drafts. But if I don't get it, I'll still bring it up. But it was just a position that I had initially that I'm starting to change, or I have changed already. I've been actually loading up on this particular position. So let's go ahead and see what our drafts are looking like. Make sure I'm not on the clock here. All right, got my one slow going. And we are going to see if we can get a war room started. The war room. The war room 2. I have one draft left. And I do want to see if I can start a war room lobby or jump into existing ones. There's a lot of people streaming right now. And we want to thank you for taking your time. Please take the time to also like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we appreciate it. Come along for this ride, and we're going to jump in a draft. Okay, so let's see what we want to jump in here. We're going to try to get in a war room, but if it doesn't work, we'll gladly jump into a big board, because the war room is sometimes having a little bit of hard time filling. A couple of my buddies told me. So let's see if we can do it. I always try to jump in on my phone. And so let's go ahead and try a war room right now. Shortly after 4:45 here on the West Coast, 7:45 East Coast time, we are bringing you this war room. Let's do it. All right. So let's go ahead. All right. And so let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so war room. Here we go. Let's go ahead and see if we can get into this war room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. War room. Let's go. Enter. All right, so we have how many left? 3 more to start. If you want to jump in this war room with us, we're going to sit by idly and see what happens. Go ahead and bring this up on the screen. Yeah, so getting stuck in these positions can often be our downfall, right? Because, like I said, most of the time we're not going to be right, especially when you're this far ahead of the season. I mean, if we have 10 strong player takes, right? When I'm saying strong, where you're pretty high exposures to maybe 10 dudes or certain teams even, and you think that's just gospel, right? You're not going to come off all of them, obviously, but you should at least consider what could go wrong here to make this player take wrong. And side to the coin, there's an opposite perspective, and all that is in regards to this game. There's definitely many things that can happen contrary to what we believe is going to happen. So the things that have been kind of relying on and leaning into here lately are these player takes and these stances that I've had since the beginning. And I've actually modified several of them, right? Because we can't be so certain that these things are just solid gold, written in stone, type of truths, right? We got 9 out of 12 field in the war room. So we're going to just hold tight here for just a little bit. And so these takes that you're hearing, a lot of people having certain stances, or yourself, you come upon a certain stance. And being rooted in these things is not going to be to our benefit over the long haul, being rooted in, especially in too many of them. And so as we've wound down this part of the contest, that's definitely been our focus. and we'll continue to do that. And as we head into post draft, you got to look at everything you've done here, check out all your exposures here, and we don't want to just carry all these exposures in the same fashion into the post draft, right? That would be stupid, in that you're putting all your eggs basically in one basket, that there's one outcome that gets you to the top. So whatever you're thinking now, you should have a whole lot of different perspectives as we move forward. That's just going to give you a lot more avenues to get to the top of any of these contests, right? Because you only have to strike once, right, to hit gold, right? Because whether you hit in this pre-draft, whether you hit in post-draft, it's one of those things where either one is going to be nice, right? So you don't want to put all the eggs in one basket by having the same type of takes, the same exposures in both contest periods, right? Because this is what they call the time box contest period, right? Where everything ends here in a couple of weeks, right? You're going to be able to draft no more of these pre-draft contests. So that bit of limited information that we've had during this window will expire, right? And so we need to go ahead and transition to a new thought process. We got landing spots of the rookies, right? And that will be a whole new arena and a whole new thought process on how to get to the top at that point, right? And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this draft. There are some things that I might want to incorporate as far as I'm deciding if I want to put out a mock draft like right before the draft. Because me, the mock season comes down to one draft, right? The last thing you put out before the draft should be your mock, right? When people are doing 4, 5, 6 iterations of a mock, okay, you're just practicing, okay? But so I'm not going to put any stock in what you're saying until we get toward the end. Because when you put that final mock in, that's basically your thoughts of all the information you gathered, and I'm done, right? So I used to do mock drafts pretty heavily for years and years and years, right? When I was younger. And I kind of haven't been in that game, but I'm trying to get that little itch, right? So I'm thinking of putting together either a combination mock draft slash pre-draft exposures reveal type of a video, right? And so that's something that we are thinking about. Whether I'm going to do that, I don't know at this point, but it's looking likely. And so just let me know if that would be of interest to you guys. If that's something like that. That would be something that you would tune in to see, like a mock draft show with also exposures revealed, right? Because right now, the exposures I'm having, I got a lot of exposures that I really am happy about as far as how they lined up. And I got some that I'm kind of questioning. Obviously, everything ain't going to go your way. It's like something I'm like, oh, I hope these come through. But, sometimes you get, you can get to a position where you didn't, based on the information you had, hey, man, it was looking good at a certain point. And then things could change as the situation changes, trades, free agency signings, things like that. And things can develop to where, hey, I wouldn't normally take this position if I had all the information that I needed up front or whatever. And then you got to live with it at this point. So those are the kind of things that, you just hope it doesn't come to bite you. But sometimes that's why your player takes, especially in these time box contests, they're not usually going to be right? Because I know a lot of people were on certain rookies, right, early in this process. And throughout the course, of the evaluation, hey, man, maybe this guy's outlook changed quite a bit. So things like that can happen and leave you kind of holding a bag that maybe you don't feel too comfortable with. And that's going to happen to everybody, right? And so these are the kinds of things that we need to be aware of, is that our positions and our stances will maybe look good to us at one point, and then we take that conviction. Because one thing about this game that I've learned throughout my experience and is that you have to have a certain amount of conviction to make it big in this arena. It's not for the faint of heart, because by and large, you're not going to win any money 80-90% of the time, right? It's just the way it goes. You can break even maybe some of that percentage of the 10-20% you're going to break even. And then you might just have that one season, right? 1 out of 10 years, 1 out of 9 years where you just smash, right? And that's what you're kind of really playing for here. Is you get that one magical moment, your moment in the sun where things come together and you really hit it big, right? As there also could be another streamer coming in and possibly adding to this room. And so we'll go ahead and wait it out. Since we're already this far into this process of having only 2 seats left, we're going to go ahead and wait this one out. And so if you check out our roadmap to week 17, right? Yeah, where we talked about, going against your own takes, right? Those are some of the things that it's really hard to do. It really is because, because you're believing in this, right? You're believing that this is what's going to happen, right? And you take that strong position of loading up either on a team, on a specific player, a position, whatever, a group of players. And so you're taking this strong position, and all of a sudden, one day you're going to realize, maybe I should do something different, right? So you're questioning your own thought process. You're questioning your own conviction. You're questioning, your own strengths, maybe even in this game, because a lot of people lean on their player takes, right? They think that that's the most important thing. And I've come to realize that player takes has decreased in the hierarchy of what's really important, right? And what I mean by that is that, player takes used to be the most important thing to me, right? As far as my game, right? In this space, where I would think player takes was the key to winning, right? So player takes would be hey man, my player takes are at the high hierarchy of importance in my eyes. And over the last few years, I've toned that down to understand that player takes has to be one of the, I won't say the least, but at least for the big tournaments, right? The big tournaments that have strategy involved in them, not just maybe the overall accumulation of points type, accumulative scoring. It's going to be based a lot on player takes. But these tournament formats come down more to strategy and game theory and understanding how do you navigate these big tournaments, because this is a tournament style, right? And tournament style means I got to get to this point, to the next point, to the next point to get to the final, right? So these kinds of things more involve strategic principles as far as not just believing in what you think is going to happen, but also understanding what the field is betting on to happen. And so we can come to some sort of approach that leverages a lot of time the field, right? So you're getting that leverage against the field. The field has so much resources going a certain way, right? In every contest like that, right? A certain portion of the field has a certain amount of resources going into this bucket. Then they got a certain amount of resources going into this bucket, right? And so that could make up a big portion of the field, right? You got 40% doing this, 30% doing this. And so that leaves only another 30% to be divvied up against other stuff. So now, are you going to choose to follow that 40%? And so now you got to beat 40% in that same, avenue. And what's going to make you beat that 40% in that same avenue? When collectively you can just group some of these avenues together and try to circumvent both avenues, right? So So these are the types of strategic things that more come into play than just saying, I got this player take, right? Oh, we already started, huh? We didn't even know. All right. So we are at the 5-hole in this big board or war room. Okay. We got Jonathan Taylor, which is okay. I think that's kind of what I would have wanted to do at this point in this contest because I do have a certain strategy I want to invoke. Let's see who I passed on. Oh, didn't pass on anybody that I wouldn't have passed on. So that was my player rank. Okay, let's go ahead and set this back up. All right, we got $10 in one hole, right? Shot Jung, did you get in too? Let me know if you also got in here. Okay, we'll definitely take Hampton. We'll go 2 running backs in a row. We like this start. Here in this war room, our final war room of the draft season, we got our guy $10 out of the 1 hole, and we are in the 5 hole. Okay, so let's look at this board here. It's looking great. Thank you for coming on in. As you come on in, please take the time, smash the like button, and we appreciate your support here at GAB Sports, as this will be our final stream of the pre-draft season. As far as live drafts, we're also entertaining the idea of doing a mock draft show with a exposure reveal of our exposures. So that's an idea I'm floating around in my head. See if there's, any time for me to do this, as well as interest from the community. Right? So I'll be trying to get some feedback. If you would, as you look at this video at any point, feel free to give us some feedback on that idea of adding a video for a mock draft as well as a exposure reveal combined show, right? All right. Let's go ahead and give an Olave share. We don't have much of Olave at this point. I don't think so. But we will go ahead and add him right here, right now. Yeah. So one of the things that I am going against, since I'm not going to be able to get it here, I can already see because the players aren't lining up. One of the takes that I had mentioned, or the things that I wanted to talk about, and I was alluding to one of my takes that I held early, is that honestly, I believe that Geno Smith isn't any good. This is what I honestly believe. I don't believe he's any good. And, I watched him closely last year, being a Raider fan, right? I watched this guy closely, and I wanted to hold out hope that he'd get the job done. But he regressed tremendously. He really faded, and he didn't show any kind of qualities that would give me confidence of him moving forward, no matter what situation he's in. And so I started off this process super low on the Jets' outlook. And over the last, I'd say 10 days or so, I took a look at that one more time, and I started to think about it, right? And just coming up with some of the things that they have already in place, right? Just reviewing, their personnel, things like that. They got Brees Hall, right? They got Garrett Wilson. They got Mason Taylor. They got A.D. Mitchell. They got good backup running backs. They got a pretty solid, strong, young, athletic offensive line, right? And to top it off, they got a cachet of picks. I mean, they got a treasure chest of draft picks in this draft, right? Well, I mean, we're thinking this draft's not loaded, but that doesn't even matter. They're going to be able to bring in youth, energy, and some talent, right? They got maybe 4 picks in the top, like, they got 2 first rounders. So I don't know how many more picks they have in the top, say 3 rounds or whatever. But say they got maybe 4 or 5 picks or whatever in the top 100 or something. That's going to afford you to bring in a lot of talent, right? To add to what you already have. So in looking at that and analyzing that, I said, there is a world where this team actually does pretty good. Right? I mean, it's not out of the question that the New York Jets could actually surprise and be a lot better than what people are thinking. We don't love that they have Frank Reich, right? We don't love that they have Geno, right? But given the talent that they do have and the schedule that they should not be, it'll be considered one of the easier schedules since they came in last place in their division, right? They'll have a 4th place schedule, but sometimes those can be overblown as being so great schedules when they really aren't. Depends on what divisions you play, right? And so, looking at that, I think they are in position to do obviously much better than they did last year, right? Because last year they were horrible. So there's no really way to go but up for this team. But I think they can really surprise as well, as long as Geno kind of bounces back. And so, as much as I just don't think Geno is that good, there is a reasonable outcome that he can actually perform well, given that they have, a pretty good structure around him. As long as the play calling, is pretty good. The Jets can do a lot better than what people are thinking. So I revised my position on the Jets. As you see, as in my thumbnail, that's who's in the thumbnail, Brees Hall as well as Garrett Wilson. And so the Jets, I've been loading up on some Jets, just to say that. All right. We want to go here. Yeah, we're going to add DJ Moore. I want to get a few more exposures of him. DJ Moore is also a guy who could really have a big year, right? I mean, DJ Moore is in a position to have maybe one of his best years, if not his best year. He's got his best quarterback he's ever had, because his best year came with Justin Fields at the helm, right? And Justin Fields, we know, is not a very good passer, right? So if he had his best season ever, which was a big year, he had about 1,300 yards almost, and like 9 touchdowns with Justin Fields. Isn't it not out of the question, or actually within the realm of possibility, right? That he has just as good or even a better year than that with a guy like Josh Allen pulling the trigger. So maybe we're underselling a guy like DJ Moore right now, because I know where he's going is it's a pretty fair price, but this is the kind of guy who I believe definitely can move up post draft. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a share here. I don't have a ton of shares, and his price has risen, so I usually don't chase guys up the board, but in a build like this, it ain't going to really matter too much in a war room, right? Because war room, you're not chasing him up the board. This is what his ADP is. So in contests where, like the big board, where maybe, his 80, there's people that got him in the 90s, you don't want to chase him up too much, but he's still a decent pick at this price, even in those big board contests. So, but I'm glad we got him here in the war room, because nobody else got him any cheaper, really. 53 is fair price. So we'll go ahead and add him here. And, but yeah, I like DJ Moore's outlook. His prospects looking pretty good. Okay. Thanks again for joining us here at GAB Sports. Your boy, Young Moolah. We got Taking Dollars join us in this draft, this war room, our final war room of the draft season. We at the 5 hole. We have a 0-3-2 build. And let's see what we can do with this. What our quarterbacks looking like? Quarterback is not looking great, but there are some guys. And I see several people without a quarterback here. Do we want to take ours? I say we do not. So we'll go ahead and add another receiver. Take Alec Pierce here to combine with Jonathan Taylor. So now we have a pretty good stack of the Indianapolis Colts. Said the Pacers. Indianapolis Colts. I knew the quarterbacks would come off right here. So let's see if we can go ahead and take one of the quarterbacks we like, or we push it to the next area. I know a lot of guys are kind of down on a guy like Hurts right now. And that's just the way it is. He's getting a lot of negative publicity. But we know this guy has tremendous rushing upside, number one. But there's also a world where he bounces back as a passer. Why couldn't he, right? I mean, people act like the guy's just doomed to failure. And I don't want to buy that argument. So if he slips here, we will definitely be adding this guy to our team. Our guy taking dollars gets 2 rookie receivers there on the end. All right. Let's see. Even Hurts and Burrow. All right. Go ahead, Spencer. Let's see what we want to do here. Do we want to go with a quarterback? Because the quarterbacks will probably not get back to us. Yep, we're going to go ahead and take this guy. This guy right here. Want to get some more Justin Herbert. We can backstack him. Yes, we can. Justin Herbert in that Mike McDaniel infused offense. We like his prospects this year. And so we've been adding a few more shares to get my exposures up. I was super high on the Chargers, but when I checked my portfolio recently, I didn't have as much Herbert as I wanted. So I've been bumping that up. So we added another share here. Get me to a place where, okay, got enough. Maybe I wanted a tiny bit more even. But, we're getting them where we can. And so that's adds to the we got a quarterback running back stack so far of Herbert, Amari, and Hampton. Let's see what I got taking dollars just look like. And he's at a 1-3-3. And we are also tracking with a 1-3-3 build. So he's got Gibbs, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs with the robust start. And he combined that with Scary T, Jaden Daniels stack. Oh, man, I like that pull up there of Jaden Daniels. So that's stacked. So pulling a guy up in this contest is $25 war room. Pulling the guy up right there is definitely something that is not a bad thing. Maybe in the big board, it's not going to be as advantageous to do something like this. But in these kinds of contests where, there's just the final is going to be really small, you want to get the teams and the correlations that you really want. And that could be a really explosive combination. So the price ain't going to matter as much in these 4 entry type contests. When you've got 4 entries, it's all about the builds. And so I like that approach that you use there. The build matters more than the price in these kind of contests. That's my philosophy. And getting an explosive combination that you like is the way to go. Okay. Let's see what we're going to look at here. We get our tight end. with Kraft here. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. Get our tight end, Tucker Kraft. Okay. And let's see what else we want to do. What's the quarterbacks looking like? Purdy, Stafford. We can wait. We can wait on quarterback. I'm going to look at some other positions. Let's see what happens here on the turn. We got our guy taking dollars up next. We got Spencer Hull building a 2-2-4-0. 1-3-3. Several of us went with the 1-3-3 start. You can look across the board. A lot of teams did that. Which is pretty much a balanced approach, which is pretty much the popular thing to do in these kind of contests where you got a little bit smaller fields. You know, the advance rates are a little better, especially when you get to the playoff rounds. You know, it's a 2 out of 12, but 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10. Is that the structure? I believe that is. And so when you have that kind of a structure, you don't really need to, or it's not advisable to take, you know, that risky approach because it's not a large field, right? It's only 4,500 entries, I believe. So this type of size field requires a different approach than a large field. You know? A lot of people think that that's pretty much a given, but I see a lot of teams don't exercise that type of strategy. I see a lot of people take too many risks in this contest, and so that's usually not the approach that I'm going to take. I'm not going to take the risky strategy in this type of contest. Don't have much of this guy. Should we be betting that Quentin comes back? We're taking Quentin. I don't think he's going to come back, but is he coming back to the Chargers? That's what people are betting against, that he's getting traded. I'm not buying that. Simply not going to buy that he's getting traded until he gets traded, right? Because number one, what are you replacing them with? Saying, oh, Trey Harris will just take his spot. They're not quite the same player, right? They do operate a little differently. You know, Trey Harris has yet to show much big play capability as Quentin Johnson has displayed already, a lot of big play capability. And a Mike McDaniel offense definitely wants some big play ability. So DeAndre Lambert-Smith, can he offer some of that? Maybe. But other than Quentin Johnson, the receiving core as constructed doesn't have a lot of big play ability. So if they were to give up this guy, then would they be upgrading in this move? So maybe if they're trading Quentin Johnson to upgrade to another big play dude who's probably better, you know, that I can see that possibly happening. But all in all, it's not easy to trade in the NFL at this point. A guy like Quentin Johnson, it's not going to be easy to trade. In that, what are you bringing back, right? Are you going to get the value you need back? Because he's probably more valuable to them at this point than any trade piece that they get. All right. Kennedy Kirsch pulling up Golden there. Golden is definitely a guy that we like. And yeah, we see he had Jordan Love, so that's why he did that. And so this is an area where guys are getting their guys. And I noticed that in the last few weeks, that's what's happening all across the draft landscape. Is guys are getting their guys, you know? And there's nothing wrong with you guys' season. And one of these guys, I'm going to get the guy I want. This is the guy I had my eyes on. AC Concepcion. And this falls in line with one of my takes here. I wasn't high on this guy at first, right? Once he instantly rose from, like, say, 180, 170, whatever he was at the start, to like 125. This guy did a dramatic jump right out of the gate. Casey Concepcion. I didn't fall for that, right? Or not fall. I just didn't jump on the train at that point. But the more that I've evaluated, the more information that has come out, the more you hear analysts with a lot of experience talking about this guy, how NFL people are viewing this guy. Yeah, he could be one of those guys that makes an impact his rookie year, because there aren't a lot of guys in this rookie class, in my opinion, that really can make a big impact this year as is, basically, because there's going to be a lot of guys who maybe are going to need that landing spot and need some kind of fortune ball bounce their way, so to speak. What's up? What's good, our guy Hartman? Appreciate you coming on in. Thanks for your support, buddy. And yeah, I saw you on Nice and Blunt show. That was a nice show y'all had. Was that yesterday? Yeah, that was a nice show. Checked it out. Good job, man. Okay, we're gonna go with Shuck as our quarterback too. We do have Olave, right? Yeah, getting a decent price on Shuck, and that Saints offense is one of those offenses. And yeah, so what we've been talking about and touching on is that our prior stances just being so entrenched in them. So I mentioned that Concepcion is one of those prior stances that I had. I just wasn't really buying any of these rookies, and so he's one of the guys I, gathering more information, just hearing more about him and looking at him myself, and I discovered that this guy's a very good profile. Honestly, nobody's super perfect, but as far as transitioning to the NFL, I think his skill set and his traits are something that translates well. Yeah, we did a show. It's one of the lives where we did our rookie tiers. You can go ahead and check that out too in our archives. And so we talked about a lot of these traits and a lot of the and the tiering of our rookies. So you can see how we were looking at these guys a few weeks ago. It's like right after the combine, or yeah, I think it was right after the combine where I tiered the rookies. And so I went and re-looked at that, and I had to reevaluate some of these guys as more information's coming out, more details. I'm gathering more information on how these guys analytics have measure up against one another, and also what some of these top analysts and scouts are saying about these guys, right? You got to take that into account. No matter what we may think, you still got to understand what people who have a lot more experience at this and who are in the loop maybe of some of these NFL evaluators and decision makers and what they're thinking. And I think Casey Concepcion is a guy who's definitely rising up the draft boards of NFL teams, right? Just based on his profile, right? And what the NFL values. Okay, we are coming up here shortly at 140. Let's see what the running backs look like. Running back is getting really tricky here because a lot of people are just pulling up guys by the day. ADPs are increasing here. And so, in order to keep ahead, you got to sometimes grab a guy too. But, we start off pretty strong with JT, Hampton, Travion. So I'm not desperate to get a back here. And we'll go ahead and look at some other positions too. There are some guys we might consider, though. Don't really need any receiver here. We'll go ahead and take a share of Mike Washington. Yeah. We'll go ahead and see if an NFL team bets on him, because I believe there will be somebody who does. I'm not super in love with his profile, even though he lit up the combine athletically. He did have some leaks in his game, in my opinion, as far as his instincts, his running instincts. Also his vision. It was a little subpar, but he's got that out. If he hits a hole, though, if it hits a hole, he's got enough burst. And so he's one of those guys who, with that burst, if he gets a crease, man, and he's in the right kind of zone scheme that suits his skill set, some things can fall his way where he does have some impact this rookie season. So we're not ruling out dudes like this. You got to sometimes go ahead and take chances on some guys. And this is that season where, taking a chance here or there with this kind of a build, because, I have three strong backs, I can take a home run swing there with a guy like Mike Washington, because he's not going to be relied upon with this backfield, right? He's just a guy who can give us a boost and take us over the top. But we're relying on these top three dudes the way we spent our capital. And we'll leave. We want to maybe leave this draft room with maybe 6 backs at the most, it's looking like. Might stop at 5. It's the quarterback's looking like. Jacoby, Mendoza. We don't have anything to pair with Mendoza. Concepcion, though. They say Concepcion. Raiders could be looking at him at the top of the second. Yep, it's definitely a possibility. We want to add a Charbonnet. Adding a Charbonnet here doesn't look too bad. A guy who can come on late for us. So we'll add Charbonnet. In the event that we do get deep into this contest, and then we got a guy like Charbonnet coming into his own maybe week 13, 14, start to really turn it on. Maybe he's got his legs under him at that point. So that would be a good thing. If you aren't already subscribed to our boy Hartman, go ahead and subscribe to Hartman's channel as well. It's he's a sharp guy out here, really solid drafter. I haven't been in a draft where this guy come out with a pretty good team. Along with our supporter here, taking dollars. Yeah, taking dollars. You always come up with some strong teams. And so I give everybody props for, just coming in here, sticking with the grind, sticking with the process, and really just banging out some great content, and some great draft rooms, right? I mean, a lot of these draft rooms are really, really tough. I mean, I just have to tip my cap to the community for just really being sharp this draft season, right? This is a challenge, one that I obviously embrace and I'm step up to, these types of challenges, but it's not been an easy landscape. It's not easy to navigate it. And I've been in this game a while, man. I've been in BBM since BBM 2. And as far as the pre-draft stuff, whenever it came out, I probably was playing in the first year. So I've noticed the changing landscape over the years, and this is the toughest landscape I've seen yet of a best ball. This pre-draft here has been pretty tough. Where there's once we get into BBM around June, July, you're gonna see a lot of softer rooms. Right? I mean, you're gonna get a lot more people who are just entering the fray. But we'll have that experience of we've been drafting for months, and this is gonna be a valuable experience for us, sickos and drafters who've been drafting already. We got to look at this as a building block, right? As we're moving on to post draft. So this has been a great experience for me as I'm documenting this process as well, and learning as on the fly here how to create content and build this channel. So I'm appreciative of all the support that we get, whether it's 100, or whatever. It's all great, right? Because we're doing this for the love of it. We're doing this because we like to just really provide, something to the table, right? Bringing something to the table here. I really honestly believe that I do because, I've been doing my research, doing my due diligence, and I come up with something, some sort of topic, whether it's a current topic or you just come up with an angle that you believe is important, and you just bring it to the table, right? And as we often say, as one of my mantras is, I'm gonna go all out and win, lose, or draw, man. I'm bringing it. I'm gonna bring the hammer, man, because we trying to win in this game, and so that's why I developed these strategy sessions, and we are compiling some collateral that we will turn into products as far as the strategy. Because I believe, man, I believe this is my time right now to strike, right? And we honestly believe that, and we are working towards that goal. We got a roadmap to week 17. And so go ahead and check those out as we are going to develop this strategy into a blueprint. Christian Kirk he's a safe guy. I want to kind of get a safe guy in this build, somebody that gives me a floor. And he's also got some contingency value, I believe, a guy like Christian Kirk, to where he's sitting behind a couple of guys. He's like third in the pecking order as stands. He's sitting behind Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall, two guys who haven't shown to be the most durable guys in the world, right? So that being the case, as the third receiver, he also has some contingency value. A guy like Christian Kirk. So I don't mind adding him to teams like this. As some boom or bust guys here in Quentin Johnson, Casey Concepcion, and Alec Pierce in the past has been more of a boom bust guy. I expect him to be a little bit more of a primary target, a primary contributor. But who knows? He could still have that boom bust type of a profile. And so Christian Kirk adds a little bit of stability and floor to this room. Okay, let's see where we're headed here with this next pick. Do we need to add another quarterback? I tend to steer clear of just adding quarterbacks to add a quarterback unless it fits what I'm doing. And so I don't think there's a quarterback that suits this build that I'm interested in. And might throw in one flyer at the end. Possible. I got my eyes on a flyer quarterback, 20th round kind of guy. So let's see what we need to do at the running back, receiver, tight end spots. We can add one more tight end to this build for sure. And so what about the wide receiver spot? Yep, we got guys that we can add at the receiver spot. We like this guy. We like this guy. So let's see what we want to do here. Trey Harris goes right in front of us. So we're going to go to another guy we've changed our positions on. Yes, we've been adding a ton of razzle is what we're going to call him. Yeah. And initially, my take was this guy is from the University of Tennessee. And we know how the Tennessee receivers have treated us over the years, from Cedric Tillman to Jalen Hyatt to last year's OTA darling on my Raiders, Dante Thornton. These dudes have just tricked us over and over and over, right? And by saying tricked us, it's our fault. We can't blame them. They are who they are, right? So, but I fall for it once, it's on you, right? But you fall for it twice, it's on you, right? It's on yourself. So it's one of these things where I just put him in that bucket of he's a Tennessee dude. Dismiss him. Those dudes are all coming from that gimmicky offense. I don't want any part of them. And so I left it at that for the longest time. And then I'll tell you what got me to change and look at it a little differently is our guy, Chris Sims. Yeah. A lot of people try to disrespect this dude and say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about and all that. But hey, once he put Brazel in his top five, because he only ranks 5 dudes, and Brazel made his top five, I said, well, let me take another look at this guy, right? And so, the things I learned, he's not the typical Tennessee guy, right? Those dudes aren't good at running routes. This dude is. Yeah. I've seen him run his routes. They got some little videos and blurbs out there, clips of this guy running routes like 6'4", 6'5" dudes don't usually run routes like that. And so that stuck out to me, number one. And started to just hear different perspectives of this guy's profile and started digging a little deeper. And I confirmed some things myself. Does he really do this? Okay. Yeah. And so now Brazel is one of our changed positions. So we've been slowly adding some shares of him because his price, who cares if people got him at 225, 230, and you get him at 190? It's the same damn price, same bucket, same tier, right? So I don't think that kind of a price change alters, the your COV and all that. No, this COV, this late COV don't matter. It's the jumps that are like, he went from 220, the Omar Coopers of the world, to like 130, 140. Now that, you better kind of consider if your position is really correct. Because if you miss out on a 130 pick and most people got them at 200 or something, that can make a difference, right? Because that 130 pick could be a big time contributor that you're missing out on if you are wrong on this guy, Omar Cooper, at 130 something. Because if I miss out at 230 something, who cares? Most people will miss out at 230 something. But missing out at 130 is not the same. We're going Flournoy, we're going Ferguson. I think we're going to go with Flournoy as an 8th receiver. How about not? Let's go with Ferguson. Okay. Because I think there's another receiver we want to look at before we make our decision on Flournoy. Okay. So we got a 2-6-7-3. We're fine with these 6 backs. Don't need to add any more to this room. We're just going to trust that our early capital will deliver for us, and anything we get out of these 3 guys will just be gravy. And then we got 7 receivers. I think I want to add another receiver to this room. And who might that be? We're definitely going to look at Lambert Smith, Dotson. Let's see who else could be a starter here. Works. We're taking dudes who could potentially start. Bateman. Here we go. Quarterback, receiver. Quarterback, receiver. This guy. I think we're going to Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel. To emerge out of that crowded situation there. We'll take a flyer that he's the guy that emerges. A lot of people like Jalen Noel over Jaden Higgins. So I'm not going to discount that is a possibility. That's within the range of outcomes. That's what we got to bet on. Is it within the range of outcomes? And sometimes we tend to shut these things out of our mind and think this can't happen because everybody's going a certain way. Everybody's betting on Higgins. Look at his ADP 125, 130. This guy's 230. So that must mean this guy's going to do better. Not necessarily. Jalen Noel might come in and just outperform this guy, right? I mean, they both were drafted last year and they both played pretty similarly throughout the whole year. So how do we know this other guy's not really better? We don't know. He could be better than Jaden Higgins. We don't know this yet. So this is why sometimes you got to just bet on the other side of the coin. And so a guy going 100 picks later is actually better. We don't want to wrap our mind around that, but that could be the case. This guy could be better. So we're making a bet there. All right. Flyer quarterback is still on the board. And it makes some sense with this build as well. So let's see if he gets to us. I think he will. We'll go ahead and punch that ticket if he gets to us. All right, this guy has two quarterbacks. Let's see if he's just going to end with his two. Who do they have? Drake, May, and Bo Nix. Oh, yeah, they can stop two. I mean, I could theoretically stop two here. But what we have as well, we're going to go ahead and add one more guy to the mix. It's this guy. We'll take a flyer on Anthony Richardson in a 3683. He gives us upside if he gets in. If he doesn't, it's just a 20th rounder that didn't work. And it will be a don't care. So basically, we're relying on Justin Herbert, Tyler Shuck. Anything we get out of Anthony Richardson would just be icing on the cake. But we do have a stat. Anthony Richardson, JT, and Alec Pierce. So if he does happen to get in, whether it's the beginning of the season, whether it's through injury, whether it's through trade, we don't know. He could play this year. We don't know that, right? Let's see what Taking Dollars does here with the 2-4-11-2. Wow. Like that build, man. You start off strong with the running backs. So you just hammer the receiver with volume. Don't mind that approach. I'm going to go ahead and review my team as well as yours. And then this was a war room. And then we're going to head over into a big board. All right. So let's look at our team right here. As we have a 3683 build in this war room. So this war room where we got 2 out of 12, I believe, and then 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10. I believe that's it. And if I'm not, you can go ahead and correct me, but I believe it's that structure. And so what we wanted to do is just build a sound team, right? So we came with a 3683. And we took our first quarterback in the 7th round. We got Justin Herbert, Tyler Shuck, and we took a late flyer on Anthony Richardson to give us any kind of upside, as we do have the correlated stat. All right, and we got a running back room of Jonathan Taylor, Marion Hampton. We felt real strong with that double anchor build. And then we topped it off with a 4th round selection to give us a robust build with Travion Henderson. And then we added a couple of dudes with different outlooks. And so Mike Washington is that home run threat that we're just saying we can get nothing out of this guy possibly, or we can get a home run. And there's some stuff in between. So he's a ceiling play, betting that he'll just push us over the top. And then we got a guy who we're banking on a late contribution in Zach Charbonnet. And then we added a contingent guy who also has some standalone goal line value. The guy, Sean Tucker. Oh, shoot. Sean Tucker had about 40-point game against the Bills last year, right? So this guy can explode every once in a while. And so we're looking for something like that from him. And then we have 8 wide receivers. Started off with Chris Olave in the 3rd round, DJ Moore in the 5th round. Then we had Alec Pierce to go with our stack. And we got Quentin Johnson stacked with our guy Herbert. Right? We got the Herbert, Hampton, Quentin Johnson. You got one of our changed positions, right? This is one of the things we've been hammering and we discussed today. Sometimes you got to go against your original takes and change some things up as you come down to the end. And these are our last 2 drafts of the season. This is my 4th and final war room. So we went with Casey Concepcion, a guy that we've been pretty much hammering these past few about 10 days or so. And then we have Christian Kirk, add a little stability. Chris Brazzle, we're going to call him the Razzle Brazzle. And it's a guy that we came on too late. He's really popping for us as we did another look at this guy, and we are buying it wholeheartedly. And depending upon landing spot, I can see myself being super exposed to this guy in the post draft. As of now, we're going to come in at about 8%, I believe, roughly in that range, 8 to 10%, which will be well over the field for such a late pick. And then we have Jalen Noel, one of the picks who I believe could exceed expectations there, right? It's a crowded room, but this is a talented guy, 2nd-year guy, and we don't know, right? It's a flyer, but hey, might have worked out. In our tight end room, we got Tucker Craft, Juwan Johnson, and Terrence Ferguson. So we got Tyler Shuck, Olave, and Juwan is a nice double there. And we got Tucker Craft as our first tight end. And the ceiling play of a T Ferg, right? We're just hoping for some ceiling games from you, buddy. You know, make the lineup when I need you to. So that rounds up our lineup there. And we're going to go ahead and look at taking dollars coming out of the one hole. I really like this build, man. It's very different. A 2-4-11-3. That's considered to be a fragile build with the running backs, but it's hyper fragile in that you started off with such a strong running back room, but you only got 4 backs, so that's what makes it a little fragile. And we'll go ahead and look at this 2-4-11-3. So your 2 quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward. I like that combination, right? That can definitely work where you're definitely relying on a guy like JD to give you that super consistency and ceilings. And then Cam Ward is that guy who can, you know, if he takes that next step in his development, he can, you know, make your lineup every once in a while as well. And you got Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, with core 4 guys there. And I can see how that definitely works. So top 3 guys just producing all year and staying healthy. That will definitely work if that is the case. And then you got 11 receivers where you really just hammered the volume. Took some high upside guys, took some rookies. I like the volume aspect, knowing that you got Terry McLaurin, Mekhi Lemon, and Jordan Tyson as being your earlier picks. That kind of led you, I believe, probably, right, to taking the volume to kind of maybe counter if these guys are off to this, you know, to a slow start or anything. I can see how that thought process works there. And you got Wandale Robinson combining with your Cam Ward, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Coker, Calvin Ridley, another stacking partner. I like this build. You got Jalen Naylor, Shimari, DK. You went for the triple. And you got Chris Bell, Antonio Williams, a lot of rookie upside. You got Chico Conquo, and you're all in on the Tennessee Titans with another piece, Gunnar Helm and Mike Gesicki close it out. So, are you a Tennessee Titans fan taking dollars? That's my question, because you got quite a bit of exposure to them in this build, which you're gonna run into the situation where some of these guys aren't gonna make your lineup, obviously, but then you're almost guaranteed that 1 or 2 of them, you know, other than Cam Ward, I'm saying, one or two of these position players, since you have what, three receivers, one tight end, you got four of the position players. One or two of them is pretty much guaranteed to make your lineup, maybe on a weekly basis, right? So that overstacking philosophy can work if this is a team that takes that big step up, in production. So like the build, man, like the approach, and good luck to us in this contest. All right. And so now we're going to jump over into a big board, right? We're going to do our last big board of the day. So let's see how this shakes out. And so you may be interested in with some competing drafters, streamers, and so that's fine. Let's see if we can jump into this right now. We're going to jump into a big board right here, right now, as our final draft of the season here at GAB Sports. We're going to jump in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're entering a big board now. 6 more to start. And so this is our final draft here at GAB Sports. It's your boy, Young Moolah. Take your time when you come on in. Just come on in, relax, let your hair down, kick your feet up, get you a drink, nice cold drink, and go ahead and smash that like button if you will. And we do value your support tremendously as we are building this channel from scratch. And so we would appreciate if you would subscribe to our channel and also follow us on social media platforms. That's at GAB, the number 4, YUUNG, GAB for Young, as we are about to enter our 85th and final big board of this season. Yeah, it's been a beautiful process, as we've kind of wanted to document all these things, this process as a first time streamer. So we launched this channel with this in mind, that we wanted to document this process, this best ball process from start to finish, right? See how things play out. And so it's been a very good learning experience in a lot of ways. And also, I'm revealing a lot of my thoughts, a lot of strategies. And so this is something that I use to my advantage, right? And I'm willing to share this strategy out here. So there's also that type of voice that's saying, well, should we talk about certain things, right? And I've had no qualms in doing that, right? So it's been one of those things where I'm just trying to contribute to the whole overall growth of the community by sharing some of my experience, some of my knowledge, and we're getting it out there, man. And so we're going to continue to do that, but we're also going to continue to develop this channel in ways that I can see want to go in a couple different directions as far as the growth. A lot more collaborations, a lot more different formats, maybe of different shows, because everyone seems to all kind of approach the streaming in the same manner, and I think there's room for a little different angle, and so we'll see how we want to explore that as we continue to evolve. Okay, and so it looks like this draft is starting. The big board. It's starting in 1 minute, and we are at the 6th spot. So we ended up with the 5th spot in the war room, and we have the 6th spot here in the big board. Okay, so we got anybody we recognize? Not right off the hand, and that's perfectly fine. I think I've seen Cleves somewhere. Herm J. G Clicks. DK Eagle, I think I've ran across. And so this looks like a pretty good room. Lots of people I have rarely drafted with or may have never drafted with. So we are going to take that one, as this is our final big board of the season. And there is definitely a correlation we want to get. And coming out of the middle, I believe we can get it. Yeah, I believe we can get it. So let's see how that works out. ADP. Let's go by ADP here. We are on the clock in 5 picks. Okay. All right. Not a Titan fan, but was all in last year, and you missed badly. So hope for a different. Hey, that's one of the things that is so hard to do, and I commend you for that. Is that when you're just really heavily exposed on something one year and it doesn't work, and then to go back to the well is like, man, that takes a lot of guts, a lot of conviction, a lot of nerve, and belief, right? You got to believe that it's going to work this time, right? Because you got a change in circumstance. And so it's an angle and it's a bet that many people aren't making. So if it hits and you have quite a bit of exposure to it, that's how you get a huge edge in this game. And so I don't mind you taking things like that, man. I do it myself plenty of times where I'll be high on certain low, it's like a low probability type of a thing, right? But the point is, if it does hit, you get all the money, right? Theoretically, right? I'm not saying you're guaranteed to win all the money, but it's just putting you in an advantageous situation because you may be one of the few that took that position. Hey, man, did we get it? Something's freezing up here. I hope they got my JSN pick. I was trying to take JSN, but something's frozen. All right. Looks like it did come through, the JSN pick. And so now, Jet Lifer. Oh, man. Jet Lifer's on the clock. I didn't know that was their name. We may be competing for a certain team. It's possible. Jet Lifer, I might take some of your Jets. Just give you a heads up. And since you're next to me, you probably won't be able to stop me from taking them because you're on that side. I got the first, third round pick. So we'll see how that works out. So we should have our pick of one of those Jets in the third round versus our guy, Jet Lifer. Okay. This second round pick is looking a bit standard, or I can take a piece that I normally don't take, pull them up, try to get different combinations. This is also different combination season. We do have to remember this is a big board, and so different combinations have some value in these big boards because it's a large field contest, and just drafting all the same combos over and over and over that people will have doesn't really give you much of an edge. It actually brings you in competition with those same teams. So what's going to distinguish you from those teams? Just the luck of the bounce of the ball, right? But so if you're not playing this game to just have some sort of differentiation and you're just looking for just straight luck, good luck to you. I'm looking for differentiation. I'm looking for ways that I will have an edge on people. So right now, unless there's some, look at that run on running back. Unless there's some sort of screaming value here, which I can see who I really want here, and I got it. Yeah, we're taking this guy. I don't have a lot of these combinations, and with that run on running backs, I don't want to be a tail end of that. So we're going with JSN neighbors. Don't have a lot of those, and there's some out there I know, but it's not a chalk. Wouldn't say this is a chalk combo, so we'll go ahead and take one of those, and we're gonna go ahead. And plus, they play each other. Yeah, they're correlated. Yeah, I know the schedule pretty good, and so the NFC East plays the NFC West, so they will be on the schedule at some point. The Giants and the Seahawks will be on the schedule. So hopefully, and maybe luckily, we ended up with a week 15, 16, 17 matchup, and we're in that playoff, and they go off against each other. That's the ideal scenario. I mean, that's not the reason you draft something, but it's an added benefit at this point since we don't even know the schedule. It's a potential added bonus. And for this type of large field contest, you have to be seeking even the smallest of edges because that's what wins in this game. You have to pile on top of one another the smallest of edges. You got an edge here, edge here, an edge here, an edge here, an edge here. Because you're not going to have a huge one thing edge. You're not just out drafting people. Anybody that goes into these contests thinking, "Oh, I'm the best draft in the world. I'm just going to out draft everybody." Wrong. No, you're not out drafting anybody. Everybody knows pretty much how to draft. So your edge in drafting is not an edge. Anybody says that, no. I'm going to debunk that right away. You don't have an edge in drafting over the field. You don't. So these are some of the things that people tend to think they have an edge at, and you really don't. So we're going to go ahead and go. Kind of losing at running back so far. So we'll go ahead and add the jet running back. There's a lot of running backs on the edge, and they may continue to kind of hammer them. So I took the back here. I was going to go with a jet, and so I took the back because of these guys right here. They're going to hoard some more backs. You can just tell. So guys like Brees Hall, the backs could get thin here into the fourth round. So I wanted a jet, and so we took Brees Hall. But back to my point. The edges that we are going to have in this game are so minuscule that my goal is to stack as many little edges together that I can have. And so if correlating the schedule at this point is a small edge, I'm going to attack that. So I'm hitting that pretty hard where you're looking for any edge that can add up in the end because you're not going to have any big edges. There's no the edges in this game have diminished, right? I mean, big BBM 1, 2, 3. There was maybe people who understood certain concepts and all that, but by the time now we're at BBM 7, there's so much information out here. There's so many people sharing things, such as myself, such as other great streamers who know, have a lot of experience in this game. That the edges that you have versus the field have diminished. So the small edges in your strategy is what really can add up. And so you can't be looking at you got some great edge on player takes, this or that. No, you don't. Okay, so I'm just keeping it real, and I'm just letting it be known that those edges, presumed edges, are gone. Okay, so it's not about rankings. It's not about none of that. You got to add all your little edges together to get an edge, right? And that's still going to be small, right? So the more of those you can stack on top of one another, that can help you advance in these contests. These are large tournament contests. Can't stress that enough. Large fields. It's hard to navigate a large field, and so to navigate a large field, it takes nothing but baby steps, right? You got to figure out how to get to the next phase each and every time. One of my favorite picks here in this fourth round continues to be this guy. And so we want to go ahead and add another share of Terry McLaurin, 4.7. I have no qualms taking him that early. And he adds to our NFC East correlation with the NFC West and league neighbors, right? So we continue to add that into the equation. Let me go ahead and get a little jolt of this coffee. Okay, we're back. All right. So as we are headed into which round? We are in the fifth round now. Coming around this corner in our last draft of the pre-draft season. Once again, GAB Sports. Please take the time, smash the like button. Also, subscribe to our channel here at GAB Sports. And we come in here each and every moment that we do this, not asking for anything. We just like your support, appreciate your support, are thankful for your support, because this community is all about supporting one another, right? I support everybody's channel. I'm out here in these streets listening to everybody, smashing all the likes, subscribing to all the channels. And it's because I like this environment, right? I love drafting, right? I like uh, best ball. This is one of my passions, right? Fantasy sports. I do fantasy sports. Right? We have DFS content as well coming up. Okay. Travion or Swift? Let's go with Travion. Been adding a little bit more of Travion lately since I'm low on his shares. And we just want to diversify a little bit. Got quite a bit of Swift already and the Bears. So we added some Travion to correlate with the Jets, right? So again, we got another correlating piece. As these are the micro edges we're talking about, that your lineup can be fully kind of correlated throughout if you're focusing on that, right? If you're not, that's fine. Don't, again, it's the micro edge. This is not a tremendous edge, but when you know these teams are on each other's schedule, the Jets versus New England, and okay, I make it to the playoffs, maybe, right? With this build, and they play week 16, week 17. That gives you a little edge, right? I mean, that's a critical week, those weeks, right? And so if these teams play that week and they both happen to go off, you get that dynamic game, 38-35 game, shootout type game. You have a big edge at that point. That small edge you thought you started hammering in the beginning can turn into a big edge all of a sudden, right? Because you got that magical game in that critical week, and it hit. So again, we seek out all potential edges. What's our pick in this round? Okay, I see where we can go with that. All right. Wow. Let us get this. Are we going to get this? It's doubtful, not impossible. Let's see what Jet Lifer does here. All right. That's kind of what I wanted him to do. We will definitely. I was going to take this guy in the last round. So we'll definitely take him in this round. All right. So we like this so far. We're at a 3-3 build, 3 running backs, 3 receivers through 6 rounds. Brees Hall, Travion, DeAndre Swift, JSN, Neighbors, McLaurin. Yeah, we're liking this build a lot. Out of the 6 hole. Kind of makes me want to keep drafting, but we've using some discipline here. And so I initially wanted to do maybe 75 big boards. We're going to come in at 85. This is our 85th and final big board. And so we just did a war room, our 4th and final war room. So it has been a pleasure coming with these streams and drafting a lot of our teams live and online. I mean, I didn't do a lot of my teams live, but I did several. And so, or I joined other people's streams and drafted on their lives. So quite a bit of my portfolio has been on streams, whether it's mine or others. And it's been a very valuable, entertaining, and pleasurable experience, I must say. Do we want to lock up that backfield? No, we don't. Wow. quarterbacks are coming into the focus here. Yes, I see all the quarterbacks. I got to get mine. We're going to pair up the guy that fits our build. We're not worried about the few point projection difference. It's all the same. So we're going to go with the guy that fits us, our NFC East bet. And we got neighbors already. So yeah, we go Jackson, Dart, neighbors. Got a lot of people waited on quarterback, which is a big run here, though. Caleb, Drake May. So the guys at the front, the 1-2 spot, decided to wait on quarterback. Well, let's see how it works out for them. I mean, I can see what they're probably going to need to do if they're looking for any correlation. This guy hopes he can get a certain player, but it's not a guarantee. So we'll see how it works out for them. It's kind of a little risky. We're waiting on the quarterbacks at that spot out of the 1-2 hole. That 6-7 turn can get a little precarious coming back to the 8-9 and trying to hope that you get the specific quarterbacks that you would like for your builds. And I can see what they kind of are looking for. And it's going to be a close call whether they get them. I can tell you that. Maybe they do, but I don't know. Looking at the quarterbacks, it's going to be tight for them. Going to be tight. But we got what we needed out of the deal by waiting a little bit as well. And we got Jackson, Dart. And so, let's see what we're looking at here. Thanks for joining us. Our guy, taking dollars, had a great build in the last contest, our war room, and this is our final big board of the season. Come in, take the time, hit the like button, please, as you enter this space with GAB Sports. We're on Underdog doing a live draft. Right. We appreciate each and every one of you who stops by to join our stream. All right. Oh, we can get a running back here. Or we can go a couple of different ways. We need to make any more bets on this guy. How about a bet on this guy? We don't have much of him. Let's go ahead and make that bet. We'll take Mahomes because we don't have much of Mahomes. We'll be maybe starting off on the pup. It's possible, right? That is a possibility that Mahomes starts off on the pup. We can't totally discount that, right? Okay, let's see. I think I would want to build something a little different here. And I can see how it will come together. I'm going to take out the quarterback. Not really looking at that spot here over the next few rounds. May want to do something a little different. Let's populate our queue. We're not sure that we have any lurkers, but I'll populate the queue with a little bit of plays ahead of my pick just to see, test it out. Normally, this is something I would not do if I believed there were people in the draft. And so we'll test it out, and I can determine if there is. There may be some lurkers. Who knows? We're coming at you, Young Moolah, with our final draft of this pre-draft season. All aboard the choo-choo train. Final call for boarding. Final call for boarding the plane. Oh, I think we want this guy instead of this guy. Didn't I get him out of there? We want this guy. Pittman. Let's go, man. What happened? Yeah, we got him. Yeah, we're on Pittman over Wandale. I'm more high on his prospects. I believe Steelers maybe have a little more upside at this point, as long as our guy Aaron Rodgers steps back into the fold, right? But if he's not there, they're gonna have to make a trade. Looks like, and there is a certain guy I loaded up on early, made a bet that he would be traded, and I could easily see if Rodgers does not go back to Pittsburgh, because it's not a guarantee, right? This guy could just wake up one day, come off one of those ayahuasca trips where he's taking his little psychedelics, and he might just say, "Hey, man, I'm retiring, right? I'm walking away." He's 40 something years old. Hey, man, you might have enough, right? So if that is what happens, is that's the outcome, this team will need to make a trade, and one of the top trade candidates has to be Mac Jones. He's one of the few dudes who could step in and really guide this team correctly. They would have to be willing to actually pay a pretty good price, but don't rule that out. It's still a possible outcome here. But it's likely that he comes back, but it's not a guarantee. I would not guarantee this. Okay. Go ahead and populate a couple guys who we may or may not be interested in. Let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, that guy goes, and that guy goes. Yeah, we didn't want either one of those guys. We wanted this guy. We really did. And we're going to take another share of Casey Concepcion, the guy we've got our eyes on, is possibly going to the Los Angeles Rams in the first round. Yes, Casey Concepcion could be really vaulting up boards. He's one of those prospects who, out of this class, he's a guy who can have a big impact, right? Because teams are going to like his versatility. He can line up inside, outside. He'll probably line up more on inside, but he runs good routes, beats all the coverages, especially press. It's not easy for a young receiver to know how to beat press. He does it at a high rate. He also returns kicks and punts. That type of versatility invokes images of a Rashid Shaheed type contribution. And teams, teams in leagues, whether it's NBA, baseball, or football, teams like to copy success, right? And so the success of a Rashid Shaheed and the impact he had on that Seattle Seahawks team is going to resonate with these GMs and these team builders. They're going to see a guy like Casey Concepcion and be like, "Hey man, this is our Rashid Shaheed right here. We can get this guy, add him to our team." So a team like the Rams, who is in the same division as the Seattle Seahawks, the defending champions, they need their Shaheed, right? And so don't rule out the possibility of them adding a guy like this, this kind of ilk. And so I never rule out those kinds of possibilities. Let's see, Coleman, Rodriguez. I think we're gonna. Wow, it's a big jump on Cooper there. I'm gonna take C-Rod. Gonna add another running back to our equation here, and a guy C-Rod. Yeah, so this Casey Concepcion could be the Raiders' Rashid Shaheed, right? Because the Kubiak has had Rashid Shaheed. So don't also overlook the fact that they could trade up into the first round, back into the first round, the Raiders, or they're sitting toward the top of the second, but maybe they trade back into the first to get a guy like Concepcion if he's still available late there in the first. Because there are some teams who I think could be willing to trade back, namely the Seattle Seahawks. They could be willing to trade back a few spots into the second round, because they could probably still get their running back of choice, in the second round too, and then they gain an extra pick. That type of a deal that happens. And I'm not buying that people are trading up to get Ty Simpson. Right? Why am I trading up to get Ty Simpson? No, he's not that kind of a prospect where you trade up for him. If he just happens to be there, people always put out that, okay, well, you get the extra year on the contract, right? Like get him in as a first round. You also have to believe in the dude that he's really good. So who's the team that would do that? That needs to trade up. The Cardinals are going to trade up to get Ty Simpson. I don't see that happening. But anything's possible, right? We'll see how it all plays out soon enough, though. That's right. We might come with our mock draft as well, right in front of the draft, right? Because that's the only one that matters. What you release right at the end, because everybody's gathered all this information. They went through iterations of mock drafting. They've confused us throughout this process, saying this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Okay, now what do you say is going to happen at the very end? Release it right at the end, and then we'll get to see the very next day what happens. Do not take another tight end here, Jet Lifer, because we push something ahead, and we're in the ideal spot to make it happen. Thank you, my brother, sister, my friend, for not doing it. We'll take Travis Kelce to go ahead. This is our first share of Travis Kelce. Very first click. Yeah. And it's in our last draft of the season where we're stressing and we're harping on changing your stance. I'm not changing my stance here by getting one share, but we did correlate it with Patrick Mahomes, who we don't have much of either. So that's more why I did it. I still am not a true believer in Kelce. And so I will have 1%, because I actually have about 110 drafts. So one out of 110 is a little less than 1%. But yeah, we got our one Kelce. And we only took it because we're correlated with our guy. So it worked out having the one share. Pretty much a fade, though. So yeah, he's on my fade list. And not turning back on that one. That's one of my strong stances, is that we are definitely fading Kelce this year. Let's see who we want to add to the queue. Add some rubber names, because these are not the people we want. Let's go see how everything flows here. So I do know who I'd like to get here. We'll see if we can make it happen, or if they allow it to happen, basically, because I'm at the mercy of these drafters here to see if I can get the guy I really would like. But if I do, this would be a very good navigation of this draft if I'm able to get some of these people that I wanted in this build at very good prices and some couple falling prices. So if we're able to get this, it will be a coup, in my opinion. We're up next. Let's see how it shakes out. One pick to go, and we got it. We got what we liked. This is the guy. We clearly wanted another stacking piece to go with. Jackson Dart. Malik Neighbors. Our breakout tight end of the 2026 season. Isaiah Likely. Yeah, I almost regret it taking Kelce. I said, I really want Likely here, but I'm going to push it because the ADP is different. So we got both of them guys 9 picks, both past their ADP. So we are really, 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 really grateful for that. And yeah, this is pretty much a master class in drafting that we're putting on here. We're putting on a clinic in drafting. This team is a whip. So hopefully you're tuning in at some point. You'll see how we did it. But we're putting together a very strong draft by just letting things fall our way, right? Sometimes you got to manipulate it in a way that the combinations you start off with have the chance of coming together later. And that's what we did here. And, sometimes it ain't going to work. But in this particular room, there's certain dynamics in play where, things are falling your way and you're taking the right order of picks and you're being patient. And so that's what we did here. And now let's look to our quarterback that we wanted to get late. Do we want to do this still? Or do we want to do something else? I think that's where we want to go. Let's see if it's available to us. And it is. Okay. We are going to do it. We're going to go with the Jets. Jet Lifer didn't really want his Jets. We're going to jump on the Jets, who are our poster boys of the day. We got Geno, Brees Hall. Brees Hall is one of our poster boys on the thumbnail. And that's one of the changing stances we also touched on earlier is our position on the Jets, right? I do not believe Geno is any good. I really don't. But I'm willing to put my mind around the possibility I could be wrong, right? And the Jets, if you really analyze it closely, are building a very nice core of players over there. I mean, they got some weapons already in house, right? With Brees, Garrett Wilson. I'll reiterate this, repeating some topics, but for those who are maybe just joining us, appreciate you. Thanks for coming on in. Go ahead and take time to like the video. Our guy, Who Hames, thanks for stopping in, brother. Yes, the Jets is a team that we are changing our stance on, and we have been getting quite a good share here lately of the Jets, quite our fair share. And so this is a position that I took earlier. I thought the Jets just stunk, and I didn't think they had any hope this year. But as I really analyzed it and kind of sensed how the field was feeling in these contests as well, I'm changing my tune. The Jets, I mean, based on their personnel, with Geno, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, you got Mason Taylor, A.D. Mitchell, and a plethora of draft picks this year, right? So they're probably going to bring in another weapon in the first 3 picks that they have, right? Which is 2 first rounders. And I am assuming they have a second round. Within those first 3 picks, they're going to bring in a pretty talented weapon to add to this arsenal. So the Jets, and they got a strong, solid, really solid. It's maybe about average, a little above average, but they're also young and athletic offensive line. So the Jets could really surprise this year. And this is something that I really had to reconcile, right, with my thoughts, because again, our takes aren't going to be right that often. They just aren't. That's historically proven. The takes that any DFS player has any year, you're going to be wrong more often than not, right? And you're just looking for that one magical year where maybe you were right on more of your takes than not. But that's not going to happen that often, right? And then if you do hit, you're not going to hit at an astronomical rate. You're just going to hit at a slightly above average rate. So with that being the case, we have to continue to evaluate our stances and maybe go against some personal stances throughout any draft cycle where you got to change your tune, right? And the Jets is one of my tunes that I'm changing, right? Because I think they really could do better than expected, and the field is low on. So if I got some Jet stacks, which you can see here, I got a Jet stack, Geno, Reese, AD Mitchell, and the field is low on these stacks. That's a potential edge if it goes our way, right? So that's just some of the things we need to be mindful of. Is that we aren't going to be right on this stuff, man. Most of the time, you ain't going to be right. We go with Malik Washington, or do we add to our stack, or do we bet on some more NFC East stuff? Let's bet on some more NFC East stuff. Go with Tank Bigsby to add to our NFC East stack and correlation. Because we got Dart, we got Bigsby, we got Neighbors, Clorn, we got Likely, and they play the NFC West. We got JSN as our top pick. So any of these NFC East teams is going to play him as well. And then we got our Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce stack, and they play the NFC West. AFC West plays NFC West. So they are going to get a matchup with the Seattle Seahawks. And also, I think the AFC West do believe they play NFC. Yep, I do believe that's the case. Let's go ahead and verify that. The AFC West does, in fact, play the NFC or the AFC East. So we got our Mahomes, Kansas City playing the Jets, and Travion. We got those as well. So this lineup is highly correlated with different plays throughout here. Mason Taylor available. He just went off the board. Our guy Razzle Brazzle just got picked as well. Pat Bryant's a pick we don't mind making there. So we got auto drafted. We're going to take him. We wanted Razzle Brazzle, but we see he just went. That's our guy now. Razzle Brazzle. But it's okay. We got him last draft in our war room. And let's see what else we want to do on these remaining picks. We got how many picks to go? 3 more picks. So we have a 3-5-7-2, 3 more picks. I know what I want to do with one of them for sure. So we just missed out on Brazzle or Taylor, which would have been nice to add to this build, but hey, that happens. Can't get everything you wish for Christmas, right? Sometimes you get shorted, right? But we got so many things that we wanted. And so if I really wanted, I would have had to take them in the 16th round, but we thought maybe we could push it. And we did. So it's okay. We'll go ahead and live with that. And that's not going to make or break our team. Our build is fine, as is. But let's see, is there another rookie that we want to add to this build? We got, because there's a Jets possibility. That's why I was, if I thought about it, yeah, Brazzle could land there too, right? In the Jets, because they're gonna take a weapon early in the draft. So let's see. We like this guy. We like this guy. Hurst. I don't know if we want to go with Hurst on this build. Yeah. Slayton, possibly. Fortify our Giants bet. And where's our guy? This guy. I think we're going to go ahead and wait 1 round for him. How many receivers do we have? 7. Running back, tight end. We can wait on tight end 1 round. We got Thornton. So we'll wait tight end 1 round. I can do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Wait on the tight end till the next round. Get our third tight end. We got Kelce, likely. Can wait 1 round, get the tight end. And are we okay with these 5 backs? Or do we want to add one more? Reese, Travion, Swift. Maybe we go thin. Wouldn't hurt to add one more, but it pretty much would be a flyer anyway. Not really married to that idea. We can go 9 receivers on this one. Let's see what the backs are looking like. Not all that promising, are they? Not really. So, Giddens. Yeah, I'm done with backs. I'm going to go ahead and build thin with this one. Going to add a receiver and a tight end. So the receiver we want to add is this guy, fortify our stack. We are going to fortify our stack with Tyquan Thornton with Mahomes. He's the deep receiver. Had a little bit more deep success, it appears. I haven't looked at the numbers than Xavier Worthy even, but he seemed to be from just from afar, me watching. Maybe our guy, who Ames can correlate this, but Tyquan seemed to be a little bit more efficient on the deep balls than Worthy, right? I mean, that's my take. As far as just observing, it looks like he had a better connection, at least at the rate. Saw a few more connections of Mahomes to Thornton than I did Mahomes to Worthy on the deep balls. And so we can make that bet again that a guy like Thornton, they give us a couple spike weeks, right? They brought him back. He is a good deep threat. So we're making that bet once again. Let's see if we got another tight end that we can put in our queue. A guy like Max Clare has reached our radar. We don't want to dismiss this guy as a potential guy who can do a little better than we think. Maybe his rookie year, Max Clare, right? Max Clare, Michael Mayer. Nobody's drafting. Nobody ever talks about tight end injuries. Tight end is one of the most injured positions. God forbid, I got 25% hours, but we play some double tight ends too. So let's see what happens as we are coming up in 5 picks. Yes. So if you came back in here, Tyquan Thornton versus Worthy. We know you're probably like the Worthy side, but does Tyquan have any reasonable chance to, make an impact this year? What's your take on that? Greg Adosich will be our final pick here as we are winding down our 2026 pre-draft best ball season. This is our 85th and final draft in the big board. And so we are going to go ahead, review this team, and sign out right after this. Okay. All right. Let's see who we have. Thanks for joining us. Please smash the like button as you come in, as you check out this video. And we're going to review our team and go ahead and sign out for the 2026 pre-draft season. I'll see you in these best ball streets. Let's go ahead and review this team. We got a 3-5 9-3 build with Jackson Dart, Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, a build we do not have. I can guarantee I do not have this. I don't need Sidekick to tell me that. I know. Best ball overlay, none of that. I know I don't have this because I got very little Mahomes, and I would not build Geno in any of these builds. So different approach, different combination. I already know it out the gate. Then we went with a thin 5 running back build, but some guys who can explode, right? So we'll go ahead and take this combination. A lot of different scenarios can happen to make this a very strong room. We got Brees Hall, Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Chris Rodriguez, and Tank Bigsby. Yeah, a little fragile, but also some decent upside, right? So it's one of those builds that can go a lot of different ways. You're going to need some things that, fall your way, right? But, those things, everybody's going to need some things. So building this kind of build, I must have a pretty strong receiving core, right? And we do. We started off the gate with 3 strong ones. We got Jackson Smith and Jigba, Malik Neighbors, and Terry McLaurin. And we also fortified the build with Michael Pittman, Casey Concepcion, A.D. Mitchell, Pat Bryant, and Torrey Thornton. And we finalized it with Tyquan Thornton, a very deep and talented 9-receiver room. So we're going to count on this receiver room to keep our points high all season long. So we're banking on this receiver room to pretty much carry this build. So I don't have many builds like this where it was already deep and I continue to fortify it. So I do like this build. We got, some stacking in here. We got our guy Jackson Dart with Neighbors. We also added a tight end to it. And then we got our guy Patrick Mahomes with Tyquan Thornton. And now we look at our tight end rooms that we added to our stack. We have Travis Kelce. Oh, also we have Geno and A.D. Mitchell and Brees Hall. So we stacked up really good, correlated really good. So our tight end room to close out, we have Travis Kelce, Isaiah Likely, and Greg Dulcich. So there you have our 85th and final build of this big board. And our season has come to an end. We're going to go ahead and sign out right here, right now. And on your way out, fam, please go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And I just want to say thank you to all who have joined us throughout this pre-draft best ball season, and stay on the lookout because we got some big things coming up for our post-draft. We're going to go ahead and regroup, refocus, get some different approaches, some different strategies together in our mind, and then we're going to present those as well in our post-draft content. But before that, we are contemplating a mock draft and combined with a exposure reveal video. So we may just do that too right before the contest ends here in a couple of weeks and right before the draft. And thanks again to our guy, Scott Young. He's been a loyal supporter all throughout this process. Appreciate you, man. And see you in these best ball streets. I will be, here still supporting. Just won't be drafting. And good luck to you all in these streets as we are out. Peace.
Oh, we rise, we rise, we rise. Oh, we climb, we climb, we climb. Oh, this time, son, we go. Victory on our mind. God work, push, go. God work, push, go. Let's see how I start this shift. We in this game, serving a strategic purpose. Went from underground, now I've reached the surface. When we claim the chip, it ain't a fluke, we work for this. New breed, superhero, a hybrid dragon, plus Michael Jordan breathing fire into this game. In the air, I'm steady floating, destined for this role. Since my birth years, golden best ballin' for life. It's moolah on a mission, Tommy hot takes analysis. So point delivered with precision, setting moves to this game, invoking martial law. Going all out, we won't stop, win, lose, or draw. Oh, we rise, we rise, we rise. Oh, we climb, we climb, we climb. This time, son, we go. Victory on our mind. Joe slow harmony chant. Joe slow harmony chant. Joe slow harmony chant. Victory on our mind. Trust a low harmony chant. Work, push, go. Giant work, push, go. Let's see how I start this. Whoa. we in this game, serving a strategic purpose. Went from underground, now I've reached the surface. When we claim the chip, it ain't a fluke, you know we work for this. New breed superhero, a hybrid dragon plus Michael Jordan, breathing fire into this game. In the air, I'm steady floating, destined for this role since my birth year is golden.